trick behind his back. I'm gonna tell you why he's not the best gym partner.
Look at his face. Let's put this on the show, and then you just put the camera on Pat. Put it on his thighs.
Disclaimer. I love you, Pat. I love spending time with you.
Smooth it on my shirt.
Where's this going? I'm gonna go eat.
When we finished training and we started doing cardio, I had messaged Shawn this shirt that said "professional asshole" on it, and then after he had responded, I said, "Hey, we still good? I trained with Pat today. He's kind of slowed me down." I was like, "I don't love training with you." But
right.
It's just because we talk so much. It's not a bad thing. It's just we talked a bunch.
Yeah, and we hadn't seen each other in a while.
And then Eric kind of hopped in, and that slowed us down. And he's like, I'll let you guys get back to it. And I was like, yeah, please. Because he came up to us, asked. Well, I don't really want to put him on blast because he meant well, but he was asking us about PRP injections because I guess he had a consultation about rotator cuff surgery or something like that. And and Pat brought up like TB 500 and BPC 157. And I guess he was getting them from one of his friends who I don't know where he was getting them from, but
yeah,
just for people, you can get those prescribed now.
I mean, in Pat's defense, me and you see each other a lot.
True.
So when we train, it's not a lot to talk about. Because when I trained with Ant at Wellington recently, it wasn't the best workout.
Yeah.
Because we talk so much.
Pat and I haven't hung out in I don't know, several weeks now.
I'm on your side, Pat. I'm on your side, sexy man. With the thighs.
But for everyone who thinks I talk shit about him, like, I don't talk shit. I just make statements.
Well, every group has that guy that you pick on because he can handle it.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like guys can stop treating Pat like a stepchild.
But we love
so
that.
small, y'all.
But here's the thing: they talk all that shit, but they all think that you're a great person. Okay.
That's why we keep inviting you.
And anytime, I forgot what the comment was that John made the other day. Like, what's this one guy that? He's just such a good person, blah. And then John was like, Pat. And we were like, yes, exactly. So,
Yeah. Was it at dinner?
Pat.
Territory.
It was either, it must have been at dinner last night or.
It was somewhere. Maybe the last time we went out.
Yeah, we were talking about something. I'll think about it.
My personality, Pat, if I don't talk shit about you, I probably don't like you.
I've got that.
Yeah.
Anyways, we did bring up BPC 157 and TB 500, which I guess could be the first topic of steroids. They're not really steroids, but they're peptides technically.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
You can start there.
I honestly don't know what the definition of a peptide is.
It's still technically research.
Well, I'm trying to think of a good example that is so like you can buy like Novadex from research companies and it's still considered research, but it's technically a SERM, a selective estrogen receptor modulator. I don't know what defines a peptide other than it's a series of amino acids, I think, but I don't necessarily know.
Honestly, mint is actually legal. It's technically a peptide too.
See, I don't know.
We don't want to make the mistake we did last time and not record.
Yeah.
Because of things that. Pat, if you're going to talk, you got to get in the camera. You can't be the weird fucking ghost voice from the side.
Yeah. Okay. Shawn, do you know what a peptide is?
Do I know? Yeah.
All right.
What do you mean, like the difference? Are you asking the difference in that of the steroid?
Yeah.
I'm with you. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't technically know what a.
I couldn't speak it.
I think it's just.
Maybe one of you guys Google it.
I think that's what Pat's doing. But I think it's just a series of amino acids that make up a substance.
But I do think that a good starting point would be steroids and are they for me?
Yeah, the difference between that.
Well, I'm saying Pat can Google that, but to actually start, steroids and are they for me?
So the simple answer for the steroids, are they for me? No, they're not.
And why?
Peptides are naturally occurring amino acids.
There you go. They're a series of amino acids. You said naturally occurring series of amino acids. Okay.
And then what's a steroid, like the actual definition?
It's a chemical bond. It's chemical bonded atoms.
Yeah, synthetically manufactured hormones.
Yeah.
So why are steroids not for you?
So I'm going to be hypocritical here because
I'm just gonna say at the risk of being a hypocrite.
yeah. So yes, I use and I did. I started years ago because I felt like I had reached a level that I could naturally, within reason. Granted, my training wasn't optimal, my diet wasn't optimal, but at the time, I felt like that was the next step I had to take to gain more muscle than I currently had. So it was 2014. I had just graduated. February 2014 was when I started. I was 236 pounds. I weighed 236 yesterday. So my body weight really hasn't changed that much.
Yeah.
But my body composition has changed drastically.
Mm-hmm.
And I was anti-steroids for the longest time. And then I realized I had low testosterone and kind of went this route of trying to avoid testosterone injections and all this other stuff for years. This started probably back in 2011, 2010, 2011, that time period. So I went 2 or 3 years of trying to battle low testosterone without using testosterone.
How?
Clomid. So long story short, I researched enough to where once I finally got a doctor to refer me to endocrinologist, the endo was kind of like, testosterone injection is for life. Once you start, you can't stop, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yes, understand. I do not want testosterone injections. Is there some alternative? And I kind of went in there with an ideal that I was hoping to get Clomid, and he didn't really present that to me until like I had brought it up. And once I brought it up, he's like, yes, we can try that. And so to me, that actually like was my first stepping stone of getting into performance enhancing substances. But I would recommend anyone who has like lower testosterone. One, you need to get blood work to confirm. And if you do, then Clomid is a very safe way to try to boost natural testosterone. Granted, you probably have to buy it on the black market through a research company, a peptide site, or something like that. But once I kind of I had a prescription to it for years, probably 2 years, and then they stopped giving it to me because my total was above the normal range.
Your testosterone.
My testosterone was 1,300.
Okay.
On just Clomid.
Yeah.
And so they stopped prescribing it to me. And once I stopped getting a prescription, I was like, well, I'm buying stuff on the black market anyways. I might as well take testosterone. So that was kind of like my transition into testosterone.
So why is the answer no?
Because unless you plan on making a career where you need it, so like professional bodybuilder, maybe professional athlete, that they claim they don't use anything, but we all know
obviously
a lot of them do.
Even if they might not cycle, it might be short cycles here and there.
Correct.
They do.
And it may not be testosterone. It may be equipoise, or it may be DECA, or maybe Anavar, or whatever it may be.
They might even be using SARMs now.
Exactly. Unless you are going to make a living doing some professional sport, I couldn't think of anything else that you.
What about an influencer?
I could see someone who makes their income from their physique or performance. Yes.
So I guess my standard would be, if you are paid to look good in any form, okay.
Yep. Perform well or look good.
Or look good.
Yes.
Because an influencer, okay, me for example, you could look at it from either perspective, bodybuilding or powerlifting, or clients that pay most coaches. Either you have a fucking crazy portfolio or you look good.
Yeah.
And they trust you based on what you look like. So other than that, I would say I agree with you, no. But
I think it would be great too, because you had somebody that asked you about cycling on and what was the pros and cons that you gave them.
Do we want to talk about doses? I mean,
that was on there. We can.
Okay.
I mean, like, would you say excuse me, what would be? I know you went to test at what 22.
I was 23 whenever I switched from Clomid to injectable testosterone.
So my first experience with anything was SARMs.
Okay. See, I never touched those.
Yeah.
Or pro hormones. I never used pro hormones either.
Right. And just from what I had read and asking and I guess you can say experienced opinions of other people, I chose to go that route first because I felt like it was safer.
Mm-hmm. Now, in hindsight, would you still go that same route?
I probably would just go straight to test.
Yeah.
But I was 28, maybe going on 29, probably going on 20. It was probably in November, and my birthday's in January, so I was close to 29. But it was for powerlifting.
Yeah.
And everybody in the fucking arena was using, and I mean, absurd numbers, to the point where you're not going to step on that platform and compete with these fucking 300-pound guys squatting 800 pounds off creatine.
Well, so what was your best lift?
Before and after?
Yeah. How much did it help?
So during my 10-week prep, my deadlift went from probably maybe 495 to 500 to maybe well over 600 pounds.
Okay.
In 10 weeks.
And you contribute that to mostly...
All of it? No. I do contribute some of it to switching my training. Yeah. Specifically for strength.
Okay.
And I would deem myself somebody with good genetics. I've always played sports. I've always naturally been strong. I've never been a little guy.
Didn't you say you had a really good squat in high school?
Yeah.
Like 600?
It was like 630, 640.
And what's been your best since then? Since you started?
Probably like mid-6.
Okay. So it hasn't really helped your squat a whole lot.
It's like yes and no. Everything factored in. That was like young, fresh, no injuries, hadn't abused our body yet.
Yeah. But what I'm getting at, if there's such miracle workers, even if you didn't, even if they were so great, even with injuries, to me, it would have made a significant difference.
I think it's made a significant difference in bench, in deadlift. I feel like it's hard to say with injury because like certain injuries can make it where you probably never gonna fucking squat 900 pounds.
Yeah.
I wasn't as tall back then, so my stature was a little bit different. But I've always just been a bigger guy. Like I did go through a vegan phase where I was skinny, but
you mean you're not skinny now?
Oh, am I skinny fat? Thank you, appreciate that.
You're just lean.
Thank you,
You're
but no,
lean.
I was always not huge, but like I was never the little guy. So I think I always naturally had the ability to be strong, But my deadlift went in 10 weeks over 100 pound increase. And I did start the test cycle probably maybe 2 weeks out from that first meet, something like that. So I went 8 weeks arms, then 2 weeks out from the first meet I started test.
Yeah.
So yeah, I waited till I was, but I didn't wait because I had anything against it. I guess sort of in line with what you said, I didn't have a real reason.
Yeah.
To spend the money, first of all, because the shit ain't cheap, and risk it, But I think the more you get into it, the more it is a business for you. Like for me personally, I'm competing against all the other influencers and coaches and all that shit. So the more and more I got into it, the more and more I had a real reason to spend the money and risk it.
Yeah.
But I would say no, because once you start, man,
it's hard to stop.
It's hard to fucking stop.
An addiction?
Yeah.
Chemical addiction, no. Addiction to how you perform and results. They do yield results. No one's going to deny that steroids don't work.
Yeah.
It's easier to maintain tissue. It's easier to maintain a leaner body composition. You're stronger. You perform better. And as long as you're doing them correctly, you feel better.
Right. And I mean, that will lead to life. Like,
but
sex drive is better.
Yeah.
Sex performance if you're doing all the other things.
But I don't think all that is just necessarily steroid related, like testosterone. Like testosterone in itself is not going to give you all those benefits. It's a combination of testosterone with estrogen, with thyroid, with there's a whole list of hormones that your body produces that have to be ideal for you to feel that good. Like just taking testosterone in itself, or DECA by itself, or trim by itself, or a combination of those three or whatever is not going to make you feel the best. You have to find what's best for you.
Right. So in what order would you say the priority is of feeling good, looking good, performing good? For most people, most gym bros, how about that?
Well, I think most people get into working out because they want to look good.
Right.
Most people don't go to the gym
To feel good.
to feel good, physically feel good. Like most younger people who are getting into the gym are going because they want to look better, what they define as better, whether that's more muscular or leaner or whatever. So I say how you look is first, and then probably performance second.
Feel last.
Feel is probably last.
Well, what is it for you?
Now that I'm older, probably. I go because in the beginning I just wanted to be big. Like whenever I was younger, like Ronnie Coleman, I want to be as big as Ronnie Coleman.
Right.
Granted, I'd never look like him, but like that's how much tissue I wanted.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, I realized like I don't really have the genetics, nor do I want
to maintain that.
Right. Because, I mean, I've been 260 before, and that's hard enough. I can imagine being 320.
Right.
And so like now I just want to look in the mirror and be happy with how I look. And I understand like I'm going to go through phases where I carry more percent body fat and less percent body fat. But as long as like I look at myself and I'm happy and I know I'm in a phase where I want my phases to be more like a smooth wave versus peaks and valleys. Right. That makes sense. Yeah. I don't want to get so far, I'm going to say the word fat, but I'm far from ever fat. Yeah. Like I've never been fat in my whole life. Right. Like obese fat. I don't want to look at myself and be like, John, you're too fat. You know what I mean? That makes me unhappy.
Once you get into bodybuilding, I feel like your definitions are off.
Oh, mine are way
what's fat to this realm and what's fat to the world is crazy different.
Yes.
You know, you would call in the gym, it's so many people that I would be like, John probably thinks this guy's fat as shit. You know,
you're making me sound like an asshole.
But I mean,
you're not wrong technically. But you're not wrong in the fact that whenever I would never call someone else fat, and if I do, I say you're fat compared to where you need to be on stage.
Right. And they would have to ask you.
Yeah.
I don't see you just walking up to somebody, hey man, you're fat compared to where you could be if you were a bodybuilder.
And I wouldn't word it that way. Like if someone were to come up to me, I had I can't think of the guy's name. A little bit older black guy, has like a goatee, kind of short in
Wellington or Blake James.
At Blake James, bald headed, wears tight pants a lot, like the compression pants a lot.
The guy, got a gut.
Yeah,
I know you're talking about.
And he mentioned something about wanting to compete, in that he was going to weigh like, I don't know, like 190 or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what do you weigh right now? He's like 230. And I looked at him. I was like, man, you've got more than 40 pounds to lose. Yeah. Like I've been kind of fat in an off season, and I've lost more than 40.
Yeah.
Having less percent body fat than he had.
Right.
And I don't think people really realize how much weight you lose whenever you diet for a show. I mean, I was 238, 240, somewhere around in there whenever I started dieting, whenever I did the Kentucky Derby last year.
Yeah.
And I weighed in at 203. Granted, I was probably in shape at 216, 215.
Yeah.
I probably could have stepped on stage around that, but I had to wait. I had to make 205. But I mean, from basically 240 to 215, that's 25 pounds. And I had lines in my glutes already at 240.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, I was not even close to being the fattest I've ever been in the off season.
If we talking about the same guy, which I think we are, when you say older, what do you mean? 40s? Or probably like mid 30s to late 30s?
I would say he's in his 40s.
He he always wears the leggings, like the leggings up. I know you're talking about. He's nowhere near.
No.
And I think that it's social media again. It's probably not just with the young guys, with every fucking body.
Yeah.
He's nowhere near ready to. I think he might see something. He might have the reverse dysmorphia that he might see way more in the mirror because he has no muscle anywhere.
Yeah, it's very little. Yeah,
it's mostly gut and little legs. And
yeah.
So, and I don't think a lot of guys realize if you don't have a lot of muscle, that when you do get in shape and you cut down, you're not going to be nearly as big as you think you are.
So back on steroids, it just hit me that we never talked about doses. What was your first? We'll say SARMs. What was your first cycle of SARMs, and then your first cycle of a steroid?
So SARMs were I started with RAD 140.
No, what dose?
Shit, it was what, 50 milligrams. I would have to fucking look it up, man. It's been so long.
Well, roughly.
It wasn't and I'll get to the steroids, but any dosage I've been on, I've always done like the bare fucking minimum. And I just increased my test a month ago. But
so it's kind of the same concept for me. Like the first time I ever took testosterone, I took 400 milligrams, and
I did 3.
The most test I've ever tried was 600, and I think I only took it for maybe a week. And I don't even know why I only took it for a week or two. But for the longest time, I can remember I took 450 milligrams. And that's mostly because of taking 3 doses a week. It just worked out to 450 or maybe 475. Some between 450 and 475, depending on how many injections a week I was taking.
Right.
And some of that was because I was taking NPP with that. And so maybe it was like 475 tests, 400 NPP, or let's see, I have taken the most. I don't think I ever took more than 400 milligrams of NPP. The most tren I've ever taken was my first prep for 1 week. I think I took 600, but that was the only time I've done that.
Okay,
John was really dangerous.
I know. Why did you go to 6 and do it only for a week? Did something change? Did you feel something? Or
so, a lot of times in a contest prep, as you drop out, so testosterone, they claim holds water because test converts to estrogen. It aromatizes, and estrogen, they claim, holds water. Some people will argue that fact. But it's very common, at least from my knowledge, for most people to stop taking testosterone a week or 2 out from their contest because of water retention. And a week or 2 is kind of dependent on the ester you take. Like if you're taking cypionate or an anthate, 10 or 14 days out. And a lot of times, like, people will stop taking injectables solely to prevent themselves from having like a small lump, because whenever you're super lean, for some reason you knot up way easier, or maybe you're so lean you notice it. I don't
see it more.
Or
I would say it's probably you see it more.
I think you have so much less intramuscular fat that it does not only knot up more, but you also notice it more. But to offset the androgen effect of testosterone, you tend to increase other stuff you're taking. Like, say if you're taking Anabar, and and Winstrol, some orals, you would tend to increase the orals as you drop out tests to offset the androgens you're missing out on from the testosterone.
Yeah.
And because tren doesn't aromatize, you don't have the estrogen effects of holding water potentially. And so like you can, and typically you would do that like every day or every other day. Tren Ace you would. So you're taking a much smaller amount more frequently.
Right.
And I was just going off of, what my coach told me. Now my last prep, I think I was taking 300 milligrams of testosterone and 180 milligrams of Tren Hex, which I like a lot better than Tren Ace. I don't get like the mental changes with Tren Hex as I do with Tren Ace, but that's a whole nother story. And then I think I was taking 40 milligrams of Anavar and 60 milligrams of Proviron.
But I think that's a good topic to talk about, maybe even just for a few minutes, that you guys are on the topic of steroids, just to communicate to the youth that there are like significant changes that can happen to you emotionally when you're on steroids.
Yeah, so
because you said something, and that's why I was like, okay, let's talk about that.
Tren.
Me personally, I've only ever noticed major mental or emotional swings with Tren acetate. That's the only one that I can consciously say when I took it, I was a different person until I was fully aware. And then it's still hard to control those emotions, but if you're aware that they are potentially going to change your personality somewhat or how you respond to certain situations, as long as you're aware of it, there's no excuse to say, I'm taking steroids, I can be an asshole. There's no excuse.
Right, can and control it. And I think it depends on the person. And because like me, I didn't really notice as much until I wasn't taking it. And I had somebody I was around 24/7 to tell me how I was, because like when I look back, I was depressed all the time. I always was irritable. I thought everybody was against me, no matter what the situation. I found the negative in it. Angry
when you were taking
when I was taking it. And I was hot as fuck all the time. Like could be naked and I was sweating.
Which drug is this?
Tren.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you had any negative?
That's the only one. I think with
I do know people who personally get some anxiety issues with nandrolone, so DECA and NPP.
Mm-hmm.
And someone that I know said that they get similar experiences with equipoise.
I can't speak for NPP anxiety because I have it anyway. So who knows what it is. I do know with SARMs, Titan. So Titan is like a stack.
Okay.
It's like RAD, MK11, and something else. But I was very, she would notice we would be training and I would have moments where I would just go quiet. And like I'm staring off into space and she's like, you have an episode? And it was like a feeling of anger and frustration and irritability, and anybody around me, you were the enemy at that moment.
Yeah.
So I would just go from engaging with people to just sitting there sort of like, I was just trying to calm down. Or sometimes you would have to leave, in the session, just go home. So I and that was like my first, SARMs was the first thing I ever did.
Yeah.
So as you go, you have more experience and you do more research and you know how to offset certain things and you're more aware of know what to expect, But yeah, that SARMs, but Tren was probably the only one that I can say made a significant change in who I was.
Same.
And
only the first time I took it.
Yeah.
I think the more I took it, the more I was aware that it did alter my mental state.
Yeah.
But nothing else which I haven't tried a whole lot of variety. I've tried MPP. I tried equipoise once. I didn't care much for it. which I didn't feel like I got anything out of it. Testosterone and tren, and then a couple orals. But other than that, I haven't really tried like a whole
A
lot.
lot of stuff. I think that it's easier, like, or not easier, but different experiences. Like you have an experience of doing it, being by yourself, so you don't you're not forced to interact with somebody. As where I was doing it, where no matter what I'm feeling, I have to interact with somebody.
Well, I was dating someone the first time I took tren. So.
Well, I guess I mean like all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was
like,
living with her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So yeah, it's. I think that if I was by myself, who knows? You know.
And I will say, in the moment, I didn't realize it changed me that much.
Yeah.
Even though I was that guy in college that I researched everything I did, and I probably researched steroids for 3 years before I ever took them.
Yeah.
So I felt like I was fully versed on what they would do, but I didn't know what they would do to me until I took them.
Right.
And so how I reacted to them,
because it's not universal.
Exactly. It's like I developed gyno whenever I was going through puberty.
Yeah.
Well, reading steroids, I didn't know what gyno was, or I didn't. Whenever I was going through puberty, I knew something was going on. I didn't know what it was until I started reading about steroids, and I was like, oh, that was a little bit of gyno that developed me whenever I was going through puberty. So whenever I took my first cycle of testosterone, it started to flare up.
Yeah.
Right? They got more sensitive and things like that. And I was educated on what I needed to do.
I've never the crazy part is I've never experienced any of that.
And some people don't.
Yeah, no gyno, no nothing.
Yeah.
The only thing I could say bad experience, or not bad experience, but was the tren as far as, and not that I wouldn't do it again. It would just be like you said, maybe try to be mindful.
Yeah.
But definitely would do it again. It definitely works. But I feel like, how do you feel about your sex drive with tren? Was it still normal?
Tren Ace was like, if my sex drive is normally here, Tren Ace was like, this is the ceiling. Tren Ace was the ceiling.
I mean,
it was unbearable.
Fucking porn star.
It was unbearable.
It almost is irritating, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's like, I'm gonna rub my shit raw. You know, I can't have that much sex. I mean, we just being honest here. We're all adults.
I literally thought about it all the time. And I'm not one that has like a crazy sex drive like that. I typically don't.
Me either. So that's why I'm like, it was like.
That was tough time, for sure.
It was.
Layla probably had several ice packs in the freezer.
It was like, oh wow, this is great. And then after it graduated, I was like, all right now, this is just too much going on. I mean, to the point where he would be laying in bed, he's tossing, he's turning, he's tossing, he's turning, and he's like, well, if you would just help me out. I mean, literally, and as soon as it happens, he's like snoring into it. I'm like, this is insane.
It became more about just the release than the pleasure, and that's when it became irritating.
Yeah, and the funny thing is I've tried Tren Ace, Tren Enanthate, and Tren Hex.
Yeah.
Tren Ace by far works the best.
Yeah.
It also has the worst side effects.
Yeah.
Tren Enanthate, I don't think did anything to me, nor do I think I had any side effects with it.
Yeah.
Tren Hex, very minimum side effects with most of the benefits that Tren Ace got. I don't get like the mental irritability that Tren Ace gave me on Tren Hex. The sex drive increase is there, but it's not as severe as Tren Ace for some reason. Granted, I haven't taken 300 milligrams of Tren Hex. I've taken 200. I just don't feel there's no reason to take more. Like less is more. I take just enough to get the results that I want.
Right.
And so I feel like Tren Hex, if you can find it and it's not faked, is the best version. Because you get most of the benefits with very minimum of the side effects.
I think that. So we'll move on to another topic about tell a funny story.
Okay.
We be fucking transparent here. Tell the world. So trans cycle, being transparent with the people probably went a little bit longer than I should have. And so I'm coming off.
Here we go.
And I mean, this whole fucking time, porn star, you know, like 2-3 times in a row. Let's go. 40 minutes a session. I'm always ready. I'm fucking superhuman. Come off, and first 2 days, I'm good. Things are still normal. Third day, I'm just like, that motherfucker's dead. He's not moving. No morning wood. No, no nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, fuck. So I'm pulling up porn on my phone just to see if he'll wake up. Nothing. I got my hand on my dick all day. Like, he's dead. So I'm like, fuck. So me and a person are having a relations, and mid going zoop.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh no, this can't be life. So I come up with a challenge for her. I said, let's see who can go the longest without having sex. Whoever wins, because I'm like, this has got to buy me time, because I'm about to have to go to the doctor, and I got to save my life. So, this is 3 days of he's fucking dead. He's not moving. I'm trying everything to get aroused. Nothing. And then randomly one night, I'm laying there, and he fucking wakes up.
Yeah.
I spent 3 days the scaredest I've ever been in my life for anything.
So did you, like, blasting cruise is popular now.
Yeah.
Whenever I started, I was always like, however long you're off, or however long you're on, that's how long you take off.
Yeah.
If you did a 12-week cycle, you were off 12 weeks. And so that was my principle I followed. So for you, whenever you came off this specific one or your cycles in general, did you like take like a PCT? If you did, what was it?
So I stayed on test, but I didn't.
Okay.
So I came off the train, stayed on the test, but I did not.
Well, if you stayed on test, then I don't.
It's like, is that a PCT?
No, but
right.
You don't need a PCT if you're staying on test or coming on a testosterone replacement dose.
Right.
But for me, I came off, and everything. And I took Clomid and Novadex because at the time that was like the standard PCT that was
recommended.
Sometimes ACG was mentioned, but it was like you got to take it while you're on cycle. No, you got to take it after you come off. Well, like Clomid and Nova was like however long the ester length is of your testosterone, you wait that long and then you start your PCT. So in Anthate, I think my first cycle was cypionate, testosterone cypionate. So the half-life is like 8 days, 9 days, somewhere around in there. And so same thing happened to me though. Stopped testosterone and maybe 5 days later, 6 days later, I hadn't started my PCT yet, I don't think. The girl I was dating, we were being intimate, and she's like, "Are you not into me?" And I was like, "Yeah," but it's just not working. It's not 100%.
Not working.
And I just tried to play it off, and be honest with her, like I knew this was a potential side effect, like it could have happened, but like based on my research, I was like, this is what everyone claims. And so for me, I started, and this is for anyone who is wanting to cycle. I think you should cycle. Like if you decide you want to try, I think everyone should start with testosterone. 300 milligrams is a good place. 400 is probably the maximum I would ever recommend someone starting. But I think you could take 400 for long periods of time.
Right.
Like cycle on and off for a long period of time before you need any more.
Yeah.
But what I will tell people is the most ideal PCT from my research that I did is a combination of Clomid, Novadex, and HCG. If you take HCG at the most opportune time to use it. Granted, I don't know what that is. I can't remember if that's. I think it's the last week of your cycle. So like the last week you're taking testosterone, I think you're supposed to take like 500 IUs every day or something like that. Don't hold me to that, but it's something in that range, like every day for the last 5 days or something like that. And then for me, I started the day I took my last testosterone shot. I started taking my Clomid and Novadex.
Same day.
To overlap, yes. Because to me, thinking back on it, the half life is 8 days. So, your testosterone's here, and then you stop taking it, it's starting to go down.
Yeah.
If you wait the half life, then it's
already
roughly half the amount.
Yeah.
And so you start taking this other thing that's supposed to boost your natural. So now you got this other drug that's trying to get your natural to come back. So your test is still going down, your natural's still here, and then all of a sudden it's going to go up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so to me, I just thought it can't hurt to start it earlier. So for anyone who is, do testosterone 8 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever, the day you take your last testosterone shot, go ahead and start taking your Clomid at least.
Yeah.
Novadex if you have it.
And I will say, to cut you off, we are not doctors.
Yes.
We are just speaking from experience and research. Don't do what we say. Do what your doctor says, or don't do nothing. Go ahead.
What will be your closing argument for the whole?
The question was at the beginning.
Yeah,
Steroids.
Closing argument, like to go to the next topic.
I would say I'm always going to hold true to that. If you have a financial gain that you can make from looking good,
yes.
Whether it be performance on stage, sports, influencer, coach, whatever, go ahead. If it's just for vanity, I wouldn't do it.
And don't, to me, if you've never competed, if you don't have any following, don't start to gain it.
Right.
Gain some momentum first, and then
and not even
start.
The following, but like for me, I was 20 going on 29. I can say I had followed the meal plan long term. I can say I didn't miss gym sessions.
Yeah.
I was consistent. I was doing my cardio. I was eating. I was sleeping. I built substantial muscle and strength and had a decent physique for my age and everything before I even went that route. I didn't go right into it because I was a little scrawny guy that wanted to get big.
And for me, I was a researcher, and so for me, the indicator for me to start was 1, low testosterone, and 2, I found a formula called the Casey Butt formula. It's probably still out there somewhere, that takes measurements of your wrists, your ankles, your height, your current weight, and your current percent body fat. There might be a couple other things. And based on a study, it tells you the potential lean body mass that you could potentially gain. Or say, I think for me, it told me I could be like 237 at 15% body fat or something, like 237 pounds at 15% body fat. And I was like 235 at like 18% body fat. Yeah. So I was like, based on this formula, I was right there based on elite athlete. Not that I'm saying I'm elite, but to me at the time, that was,
you had capped out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say that I did cap out, because naturally I think I could have went further with better training and nutrition. But at the time, I didn't know any better.
Speaking for what you were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next topic we're going to switch to is bad client versus good client.
Why'd you point at me for bad client?
John can speak from the perspective of the client. I'll speak from the coach side. What does a bad client look like? What makes somebody a bad client?
Well, you tell me. You're the coach. I'm not the coach.
So for me, good or bad. For an example, I get my plan. I do my check-in. I get my plan. I follow the fucking plan.
100%?
Not 100. All my check-ins have been like 90 plus. But when I say follow the plan, I mean no excuses. I'm not asking for 50 million substitutes. I'm not getting the plan and going through it thinking, okay, I can't do this. I don't do that. I can't do this. I hate fucking avocado. I mean, when I say I hate avocado,
that's different.
I don't like avocado. Yeah. I'm not allergic. My thought process is the only way I'm going to ask for a substitute is if I'm allergic.
Yeah.
If I'm not allergic and I can do it, fucking do it. You know, everybody wants to look good. When I'm talking about when they approach you as a coach, everybody wants to look good. Everybody wants to get in shape. I want to lose fat. I want to build muscle. Whatever the goals are, I'm ready. I'm willing to do whatever it takes until you find out what it takes. And you got more excuses than, I had I went out of town with my girlfriend, so I skipped the gym this week and my meals are off, or I have family in town, but so you can't go to the gym because your family was in town? Like, did y'all spend 24 hours together? So all my kids this week, I ate with them because so you bought them McDonald's, so that means you couldn't make chicken breast?
Yeah.
It's just so many fucking excuses.
Yeah. So at what percentage do you think people, so like you said you hit, what, 90% every
The first
week?
one was probably, both have been probably 90 to 95 based on what he sent me.
Yeah.
Verbatim.
And so that includes, eating your 5 or 6 meals a day, every day. You may have missed 2, maybe.
I didn't miss the meal. Like, for example, so one, I carry my food bag with me, and throughout the day I'm working. So I'm working, I'm fucking texting clients with a million questions. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm reaching in my bag, I'm pulling it out. The number is written on the Tupperware of what meal this is. Shout out to Caribbean Fit Foods. So, and one of my meals goes with avocado. I fucking forgot the avocado was in a separate Ziploc bag. So I pull the meal out, I heat it up, boom. I'm in autopilot. I eat it. I get home that night. She goes through my food bag. What is this? And pulls out the avocado. I forgot that was in there.
Yeah.
And obviously, coincidence, I don't like avocado, so it seems like I'm lying. I totally forgot that shit was in there. And
did you eat it anyways?
No, it was fucking like, I think she maybe found it the next day or something.
Okay.
So it was like fucking, yeah.
Yeah. Let's say later that night, say that was meal 2.
Yeah.
And later that night, say like you're eating your last meal.
Yeah.
And you have found it and you had realized, would you have added that additional fat?
I would have, yeah.
Yeah. So to me, like, that's not ideal, but to me, that's still 100%.
Right. So only reason I didn't because
you unintentionally forgot.
I forgot. And if I could,
that one hiccup with the powder.
The powder. So I tried the powder at work. I drank it. So I had to go get a shake from New Health. But I mean, you're talking fruit, water, vegan protein powder, and that's it. Yeah. So was it the shake that on the plan? No, but you can. I counted that when I did my check-in.
Yeah.
I explained and I counted that off as no, I didn't follow the plan. But that dialed in is when as opposed to like the guy I told you about. I'm not gonna speak names, but in his head, 80% is a good week.
Yeah, and so to me, what you did is basically an ideal client. You did your absolute best with what you had at the moment. Like your shake, for an example, you went and got a shake from New Health instead of ordering Uber Eats, Chipotle,
or not eating at all. Fucking Chick-fil-A.
Something way off.
Or something,
You made the closest substitute that you could.
That I could in the moment. And all I ask for clients is to try, is to minimize the excuses. And I think coaches can attest, and the higher level of clients you have, the better you look as a coach, first of all. Because I do believe there are a lot of coaches out there who are a lot better than what they might look like.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times it's luck. You luck up on a client that is on top of their shit, that's a hard worker already, that's already dedicated, that's already put a lot of work into this, and they're just trying to get to the next level. You just hit the jackpot.
Yeah.
Because you can give them the blueprint, they're going to do the work. And now you can show what you know and what you can do, as opposed to you got 10 clients who are lazy. Anything that's going to be an excuse.
Yeah.
I can't get up that early. Or I did the first 4 workouts and I just was tired.
Yeah.
So I skipped the cardio. Then you didn't want it. And I think that goes back to our last episode, maybe the first one, of when to hire a coach.
Yeah.
When you're ready to do the work with no excuses and hold yourself accountable.
Yep.
I think the big piece is something like a check-in. If you didn't do X, Y, and Z, I didn't do X, Y, and Z. That's on me. I need to do better. I'm gonna do this, and that.
Yeah.
To improve next week. Not I didn't do X because, and this is my excuse.
Yeah.
Because I think when you are still making excuses for yourself, then you're probably not going to change.
Yeah.
If you think that I was tired is a valid excuse, then you always fucking be tired.
Yeah.
You're fat, you're out of shape.
Yeah.
So when are you not going to be tired? When you're working to get in shape.
Or, well, not even fat and out of shape, but we'll use contest clients for an example, which you don't coach, or you haven't coached a contest person yet. But when you're consistently eating in a caloric deficit, expecting your body to perform at 100% every day, it's just not going to happen.
Never.
You're always going to be tired. You're never going to want to do your cardio. You're never going to want to do your cardio at the intensity you need to do it.
Right.
You're not going to want to train. Like, there's going to be days you're like, fuck this, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, there's no telling how many days in my last prep that I was so close to quitting.
Yeah.
So close. And I'm not. It's just like, okay, if I can get through this, eat my first meal, which the last 2 weeks I didn't eat any carbs other than one day or 2 days, whatever it was. And it was miserable the last 2 weeks. But that's what it took for me to make weight.
And I think that the irritating part for me is a lot of excuses the clients will say is, well, I'm not trying to be a bodybuilder. This is not to make you a bodybuilder. This is to get you in shape.
Yeah.
The strategy to get in shape is the same as a bodybuilder. The strategy to get strong is the same as a powerlifter. Yeah, you might not have to be as intense.
Yeah.
You might not have to take yourself to pure hell to do it, but it's not, well, I have 4 meals to follow today. I ate 2 of them. That third one, I just skipped that. I went to the gym. I was tired, so I skipped this. You know, I went out with my girls. I only had 1 drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have only been 1 drink. It might have been only cardio. But when you get to the end of the week, it's a shit ton of stuff that adds up to you are half-assing.
Yeah.
And why don't we take a little more pride in being workers?
Yeah.
You know, but we put that up. We're going to put work into our job. We'll put work into the things we care about. We'll put work into whatever we care about.
Yeah.
But the fitness part, I'm a hire a coach to show me a magic trick.
And that's my old boss one day saw me heating up my food at work, and he's like, yeah, I've been trying to get back in the gym. I just don't have time. And I looked at him and I said, you make time for what you find important.
Right.
You make that priority. He's like, it's not that easy. And I was like,
we work together.
Yes, it is. It's that easy. Like, if you find value in it, you will find time to do it.
We go I'm going to train after this. Would I want to leave here and go to the gym? No.
Yeah.
But you just got to do what you got to do. I have a buddy of mine. He's 5'11". He's about 320. And he's not always been that heavy. He back and forth. He fluctuates. When he's not heavy, he's not muscular. He just loses weight.
Yeah.
Because he'll starve himself.
Yep.
That's his idea of getting in shape is, I just don't eat. He will not step foot in the gym. I mean, every excuse in the world. But the thing I like about him is that I feel optimistic because he will say, I'm just fat and lazy.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you can own it, then you'll step above somebody who's still making excuses for themselves. You know, because maybe at some point you will. It's this person who's, like you said, I just don't have the time.
Yeah.
You know, her boss, I just don't have the time. You got the time to run down to churches. We don't have a churches here. To fucking Popeyes.
Yeah.
You passed 5 gyms on the way to Popeyes.
Yeah.
You could take your fat ass in there and did a little bit of cardio.
Yeah.
Or something.
And he could have, like, I'm sure there's no telling how many restaurants close. He could walk.
Walk to a restaurant.
Walk.
You know. And it's just like, so my buddy's 5'11", 320, all fat. I would guarantee his body fat's 50% or higher.
Yeah.
And it's like, I talk to him all the time. Get in the gym, man. Get in the gym. It'll improve so many things. He's like Pat. He literally is Black Pat. Super fucking nice. No, not weight wise, personality.
Yeah.
He's super nice. He's a loyal guy. He's a good guy. Like, he deserves a lot.
Yeah.
You know, a good relationship. He's a fucking awesome guy. But his weight is just hindering him. And I think a lot more than any Americans want to admit when we're in that shape, you can't have a good quality of life. He wants a family. He wants kids. But he doesn't go anywhere. And he will never say it out loud, but I know him well enough to know you don't go anywhere because you don't like how you look. Because he's super vain.
Yeah.
He thinks he's the most handsome guy in the world.
He might be.
And he might be, but he would never know at 320 pounds.
Yeah.
And it's not muscle. It's all fat. You know, you
But
don't
not everyone wants to be muscular.
And hear me out. Not everyone wants to be muscular relative. They might not want to look like you. They might want to look like me or have Pat's thighs. But at the same time,
Pat's got booty shorts on, by the way.
right. Everybody, would you agree, for health purposes, needs to train in some form or fashion to develop muscle. Especially, he's 32. Especially as you hit that 28, 29, 30 mark. Nobody should walk around with no muscle on their body. Or bare minimal. I think we all have a little muscle. But do you think it would be ideal for a man, 32 years old, for him to go in the gym and lose weight by just doing cardio only and eating low calories and never doing anything to develop any muscle?
I think from a nutritional standpoint, it would be hard to eat properly if you don't have some muscle to help your metabolism burn more food. I mean, because nutritionally, I guess you could, basically eat just micronutrient dense food and get a lot of your vitamins and minerals that you need. But I mean, there's healthy fats, there are essential aminos that you get from meats. And I mean, it would just be difficult to eat a healthy lifestyle to get the nutrients you need if you don't have some muscle to help you metabolize the calories you're consuming doing that.
When I push muscle, I'm never telling him or anybody that you should want to be a mass monster.
Yeah, or even even in a fitness competition size.
Nothing bodybuilder related.
Yeah.
But as a man, you should want to get in the gym and be, as a guy, as a grown man, you should, if somebody told you to drop down and give me 5 push-ups,
yeah,
and you struggle, you're living dangerous.
Well, do you think he could do stuff like that at home, like push-ups, sit-ups,
I
pull-ups?
told him I will put a program together for him at home.
Yeah.
For free.
Yeah.
At 320 pounds, in the shape that he's in, he could start at home.
Do you think that would be enough for him to live a healthy lifestyle, though? Or do you think a gym is required?
I think a gym is required?
Or weight training is required?
To live a healthy lifestyle, no.
Yeah.
But to get some substantial gains, yes.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But to me, I don't think you need a lot of muscle to be healthy.
You don't need a shit ton to be healthy.
But I'm not even saying a shit ton, just like
a lot.
Something you could, like, we'll look at. I think there was a picture floating around on Instagram from like maybe the 60s. It was a group of guys. I think they were in the army or something with their shirts off. They were all fairly lean, not a whole lot of muscle, but they probably only did push-ups and pull-ups and ran, and sit-ups.
Yeah.
To me, I think that's enough.
Okay.
Muscle.
Yes. Now, there was a picture also of the 60s, and it was a beach. And it was like 500 people on the beach. Nobody was fat.
Yeah.
Do you think that working out at home is enough to be healthy realistically today with how we eat and live? Do you think that somebody who's 320 pounds, so think about how bad you have to eat, how much liquor he has consumed, how lazy of a regimen you developed, that with his eating habits, would he be able to get in shape?